How many of you are familiar with the concept of sweater tooth? Introduced to me a few years ago, sweater tooth is the sensation you experience when you've been drinking something overly sweet and your teeth get lacquered, an almost fuzzy feeling to them, as if yarn has been wrapped around. If you're cringing right now, Kate, I see you making a funny face. That's the correct response. Sweater tooth is not a desirable feeling. It is not a pleasant feeling. I myself avoid sweater tooth like the plague. For instance, when I go down the shore about half a block from where my family gets on the boardwalk in Ocean City is John's. John's Lemonade is an institution, selling fried Oreos, fried dough, fried potatoes, and lemonade. Each summer, John's is staffed by teenagers who impress me with their professionalism. They run back and forth to the fryer and the register. Each summer, they seem to get younger, but it's really just me getting older. I go to John's for the lemonade. It's a simple recipe. Fresh lemons cut and squeezed to order over ice and a tall cup of cold, clear water. And then many, many heaping spoonfuls of sugar. They shake it up all real good and hand it over. It is delicious. It is refreshing. It is a divine companion to a hot day at the beach. I love John's fresh lemonade, but my love for John's deepened, became more committed when I started asking for half sugar. One large lemonade, please, half sugar, because you know what detracts from a divine companion at the beach? Sweater tooth. And what I had come to realize is that actually I don't like my lemonade so sweet that I can't taste the lemon. I don't like my lemonade so sweet that I don't get that acidic, refreshing hit of lemon. I like the bitterness alongside the sweetness. The writer and cultural critic E.B. White once remarked, "If the world were merely seductive, that would be easy. If it were merely challenging, that would be no problem. But I arise in the morning torn between a desire to save the world and a desire to savor the world, and that makes it hard to plan the day." Unitarian Universalism calls us to live in between these two truths, the desire to save the world and a desire to savor it. The half-sugar lemonade, the bitter alongside the sweet. The world itself is both bitter and sweet, and that makes it hard to plan the day. In one hand, we have the Unitarian Universalism, which awakens our senses to the miracle of life. In all its small and profound ways, the unfurling of verdant leaves, each and every spring telling us of sunnier days that lie ahead. The soft flicker of candlelight over a dinner shared by friends, marked by laughter and bread swiped through sauce. The snore of a cat, the brilliance of coral fish, the northern lights. I could go on and on. Mother Mary and Father Barry, Mary Oliver and Wendell Berry, patron poets of Unitarian Universalism, who tell us, pay attention to the waters, to the geese, to the beat of our hearts, to the pure and blissful nature of every child. Some days I weep at the beauty which abounds, the sweetness which is all around. This is the gift of a Unitarian Universalism which orients us to gratitude and abundance, to the majestic, unlimited possibilities of what is on offer for free at any given moment. The poet Ross Gay writes, "Just like that, and to boot, there are on this planet alone something like 2 million naturally occurring sweet things. Some with names so generous as to kick the steel from my knees: agave, persimmon, stickball, that purple okra I bought for $2 at the market. Think of that," he writes. But just as quickly, life will give you whiplash. Serve up a shot of lemon juice that makes you shudder as it goes down. The negative sign on the pregnancy test after a year of hoping, a year of pinpricks and doctors' offices. Holding my father's cold, limp hand as he emerged from an emergency triple bypass. The endless numbers of black and brown children dying of gun violence in Philadelphia, days stolen from long lives they deserved. My heart torn asunder, my soul cleaved in two by the images that come from Gaza, hollowed out cheekbones and mothers clutching white-wrapped infant bodies. I'm weeping for them too. I am weeping for all of them. There is injustice all around, in our neighborhood, around the corner, and halfway around the world, and it all matters. It all touches us, and it can make us forget the sweetness. It can make us want to give ourselves over completely to the bitter, to fall into despair and cynicism. When it feels like the world is a wound which cannot heal, we are tempted to stop trying to close it, to learn to live that way, letting our own selves harden, to shore up our defenses against the bitter parts of life, which just will not go away. I am weeping all the time then, heartbroken all the time, cracked open to the bitterness and the sweetness, and sometimes it is all too much. But I know I would rather this. I would rather too much than not enough. It is the words of Toni Morrison which bring me comfort. She writes, "No more apologies for a bleeding heart when the opposite is no heart at all." Amen. Danger of losing our humanity must be met with more humanity. When I go looking for more humanity, I find it here in our faith. Our faith which compels us to seek a world transformed by our care, which decries injustice and points out where there are wrongs that need to be righted. Unitarian Universalism with its belief in the interdependent web of all existence, which says, my life is connected to your life. Your suffering matters to me. Your dignity matters to me. Your ability to stretch and express all of yourself matters to me. Unitarian Universalism, which says that despite a plurality of opinions about how we get there, how it is that we make the world better, we agree that things are not as they ought to be. That we are not living as we ought to. That the many are being cheated by the greed of the few, and that there are things worth confronting despite our fear and our impulse towards polite society. Our faith, which tells me that right now on this earth, there are 2 million naturally occurring sweet things. And this is the challenge of this faith. This is the challenge of Unitarian Universalism, to live between the sweetness and the bitterness, to walk the line between heartbroken and open-hearted. To deny either part, the sweet or the bitter, is to risk denying the fullness of being human. We fight for life to be beautiful for all because we know in our bones, we know in our teeth just how exquisite it can be. The bitterness is what makes the sweetness worth fighting for. In my interreligious engagement class in seminary, taught my beloved Dr. Lamptey, an observant Muslim, she would have us read primary sources for each of the world's major religions, the Torah, the Quran, the Upanishads, and after completing a reading, she would ask, okay, So what does this sacred text tell us about the nature of being human? And for Islam, she said, humans are forgetful. We are prone to forgetting, hence the Islamic commandment to pray 5 times a day, salah. Each call to prayer a reminder, a balm to our imperfect human nature, a remedy to our forgetfulness. We are easily distracted from that which is most important. We are easily seduced away from the challenge of living our faith, of embodying our faith. And so, we must be reminded, regularly, constantly, brought back to our obligations. And for us, it is not 5 times a day, but rather on Sundays at this time that we are brought back. The incomparable A. Powell Davies once preached, "Let me tell you why I come to the UU Church. I come to the UU Church because I fall below my own standards and need to be constantly brought back to them. I am afraid of becoming selfish and indulgent, and my UU Church, my church of the free spirit, brings me back to what I want to be. I could easily despair," he writes. "Doubt and dismay could overwhelm me. My church renews my courage and my hope. I must feel again the love I owe to others. I must not only hear about it, but feel it. In church, I do. I am brought toward my best, in every way, toward my best." Davies is telling us in his own way about how we too are forgetful, that we are called to live between the sweetness and the bitterness, that we fall below our own standards, easily resting on a life of saccharine gratitude that ignores the painful realities all around, that doesn't grapple with the bitter cup of our neighbors, as Reverend Gilbert said. And that we mustn't give in to despair either. We must be renewed in hope, reminded of that love which holds each and every one of us. And for us, for Unitarian Universalism, we do this thing, we do the reminding, we do the calling back, the calling in, we do it together in community, offering it to one another, because that more humanity that Toni Morrison spoke of, we don't meet more humanity in our cubicles, in the isolation of our bedrooms, or on the phone. It's here, in community, in the intimacy of making something together that embodies the sweetness and the bitterness. It is in community, grounded in our shared values, our shared vision, that we recommit to being brokenhearted and open-hearted, and to call that the good life with a capital G. I know this because my love for John's Lemonade deepened when I got in there myself, when I said, "I want it to be this way. Can you help me make it the way I need it to be?" When I recognized what it was that needed to change to give me that burst of sweetness and the balance of acidity, and those spry young teenagers were happy to oblige, together we made something worth fighting for. May we remember what it is that we owe one another. May we draw one another back from the cynicism of despair and the saccharine hope of naivete. May we meet humanity with more humanity, and may we build the world we long to see, empowered by our faith, a community which knows the hard work of witnessing the bitter and the sweet. And may you never know the feelings of sweaters on your teeth. May it be so, and amen.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.